morning sun rose over Seoul like it always did. Children walked to school. Workers filled the trains. Street vendors sold hot food on every corner. Nobody looked up at the sky. Nobody had any reason to. Park Min-ho stood in his office at the United Defense.
I command Busan.
He was 58 years old, with gray hair and tired eyes. 20 years of military service had taught him to expect the unexpected, but nothing had prepared him for what would happen in the next 6 hours. His phone rang at exactly 8:47 a.m. "General Park," the voice said. It belonged to Dr. Kim Woo-jin, the head of Earth's Deep Space Monitoring Program. His voice was shaking. "We have contact. Multiple objects entering the solar system. They are not natural." Park Min-ho felt his blood turn cold. "How many?" "Over 300. They will reach Earth in 4 hours." For decades, humanity had wondered if they were alone in the universe. They had sent signals into space. They had searched for signs of life. They had dreamed of meeting other intelligent beings. Now their dream was about to become a nightmare. The objects were ships. Massive ships, each one larger than a city. They moved through space with impossible speed. Earth scientists watched in amazement as the fleet passed Jupiter, then Mars, then the Moon. No signals were sent. No communications were received. The ships simply came. Park Min-ho ordered full military alert. Every plane, every ship, every soldier was called to action. But deep in his heart, he knew it would not be enough. The technology that powered those alien vessels was thousands of years ahead of anything Earth possessed. His wife called him at noon. Her name was Min-ho's heart, his reason for everything. She was in Seoul with their daughter, visiting her parents. "Min-ho," she said softly, "what is happening? The news is showing strange things in the sky." "Take our daughter and go underground," he said. "Find shelter. Do it now. You are scaring me." "Good, be scared. But move fast. I love you both." Those were the last words he ever spoke to them. At 2:15 p.m., the alien fleet entered Earth's atmosphere. They positioned themselves over the largest cities on every continent: Seoul, Tokyo, Mumbai, Cairo, London, New York, São Paulo. They hung in the sky like dark gods. Looking down at insects. Captain Yoon Hana was flying her fighter jet over Seoul. When the attack began, she was 34 years old, one of the best pilots in the Korean Air Force. She had trained her whole life for combat, but she had never imagined combat like this. The alien ships opened fire without warning. There was no declaration of war, no demands, no communication of any kind. Just bright beams of light that fell from the sky and turned everything they touched into ash. Yoon Hana watched Seoul disappear. One moment the city was there. 12 million people living their lives. The next moment, there was only fire and smoke and screaming on the radio. She flew toward the nearest alien ship, her missiles ready. Around her, other pilots did the same. They were brave men and women who knew they were going to die but fought anyway. That was what humans did. They fought even when hope was gone. Her missiles hit the alien ship and exploded against its surface. The ship did not even slow down. Its armor was untouched. A beam of light swept across the sky and destroyed 15 jets in less than a second. Yoon Hana's plane was hit. She ejected just before it exploded, as she fell through the burning sky. She saw her world dying beneath her. The attack lasted 6 hours. When it was over, 1.2 billion people were dead. 14 major cities had been completely destroyed. Earth's military forces were broken. The orbital defense stations that humanity had built with such pride were nothing but floating. Wreckage. Then the aliens did not land. They did not occupy. They simply destroyed everything they wanted to destroy, and then they left. They left behind automated drones to finish the job. To them, humanity was not an enemy. Humanity was a pest problem to be cleaned up. Park Min-ho survived in his underground bunker. When the communications came back online, he tried to reach Seoul. He tried to reach his wife. He tried to reach his daughter. But Seoul no longer existed. There was nothing left but a crater filled with radioactive ash. He sat alone in the dark for a long time. Other officers came to him with reports of the damage, with lists of the dead, with questions about what to do next. He did not answer them. He could not. The man he had been was dead, buried under the ashes of Sol with his family. When he finally spoke, his voice was different, cold, empty, filled with something darker than grief. "Find out who they are," he said. "Find out where they came from. Find out everything." Dr. Kim Woo-jan worked without sleep for 3 days. He analyzed the wreckage of alien drones. He decoded fragments of their communications. He learned their name. They called themselves the Valoran Empire. They had ruled the galaxy for 10,000 years. They had destroyed hundreds of species before humanity. To them, Earth was just another number. Another minor obstacle in their expansion plans. On the 4th day, Park Min-ho made a broadcast. It was sent on all frequencies, including the ones the Valorans used. He knew they would hear it. He wanted them to hear it. He stood in front of the camera, his uniform torn and dirty, his face covered in dust and dried blood. Behind him, screens showed images of the destruction, the burning cities, the dead children, the broken world. "I am General Park Min-ho of Earth," he said. "You came to our world without warning. You killed our people without mercy. You burned our cities while our children slept. You thought we were weak? You thought we would simply die. You were wrong." He paused and looked directly into the camera. His eyes were not sad anymore. They were burning with cold fire. "You hit Earth first. You took everything from us. Our families, our homes, our future. But you made one mistake. You left some of us alive, and now we have nothing left to lose." He leaned forward, his voice dropping to a whisper that somehow sounded louder than a shout. "Wait. We are coming for you. Not today. Not tomorrow. But we are coming. And when we find you, you will learn what happens when you wake a sleeping species. You will learn why the universe should have feared humanity. Run if you want. Hide if you can. It will not matter. We will find you. And we will make you pay for every life you took." The transmission ended. Somewhere in the cold depths of space, a Valoran commander watched the message and laughed. The primitive species was making threats. How amusing. How pointless. He deleted the message and moved on to other matters. The humans would be dead within a year. They always died. Every species did. He was wrong. 10 years passed in silence. The surface of Earth became a wasteland. Radiation poisoned the soil. Toxic clouds blocked the sun. The beautiful blue planet that humanity had called home was now gray and dying. The Valoran drones flew over the ruins every day, searching for survivors to eliminate. They found fewer and fewer as time went on. The Valoran Empire marked Earth as cleansed in their records. Another primitive species erased from existence. Another obstacle removed from their expansion path. They did not think about humanity anymore. They had more important matters to consider. This was their greatest mistake. Deep beneath the dead surface, humanity was alive. They had retreated into underground cities built in secret during the years before the invasion. They had escaped to hidden bases inside asteroids, and on the dark side of the moon, they were broken and bleeding. They were not dead. And they were not idle. General Park Min-ho was 68 years old now. His hair had turned completely white. His face was marked with scars from the day of the attack. He walked with a slight limp from an injury that never healed properly. But his eyes still burned with the same cold fire that had appeared on the day he lost his family. He stood in the command center of humanity's largest underground base, located deep beneath the mountains of what used to be Switzerland. Around him, screens showed the progress of their secret project. The project they had been working on for 10 years, he said. Admiral Baek Jasu stepped forward. She was 40 years old, tall and strong, with short black hair and sharp eyes. She had lost her entire family in the attack on Seoul, just like Park Min-ho. That shared grief had made them close. She was the commander of the Shadow Fleet, humanity's secret weapon. 200 ships ready for deployment, she said. All crews trained. All weapons tested. We are ready, General. Right. Park Min-ho nodded slowly. 200 ships. It had taken 10 years to build them. 10 years of working in secret, hiding from Valoran drones, stealing resources from abandoned cities. 10 years of sacrifice and suffering and death, but they had done it. The ships were not like anything humanity had built before. They were a mixture of human determination and alien technology. Lieutenant Choi Tae-young, a young engineering genius who was only 18 when the invasion happened, had spent years studying captured Valoran drones. He had taken them apart piece by piece and learned their secrets. The Valorans used a special drive system that allowed them to travel faster than light. Humanity's scientists had said it was impossible. Choi Tae-young proved them wrong. He was 28 now, thin and pale from years of working underground without sunlight. But his eyes were bright with intelligence and something else. Hatred. The FTL drives are working perfectly, Choi Tae-young reported. We can match Valoran's speed. In some cases, we can exceed it. Park Min-ho looked at the young man. You have given us a chance, Lieutenant. Your work will not be forgotten. Choi Tae-young shook his head. I did not do it for glory, sir. I did it for my mother. She was a teacher in Seoul. She was helping her students evacuate when the beam hit her school. Everyone in the room had a story like that. Everyone had lost someone. That was what held them together. Not patriotism. Not ideology. Just shared pain and shared purpose in another part of the base. Corporal Seo Neon was training with her special operations team. She was 26 years old, small and quiet, with eyes that seemed to see everything. She had been selected for a special program, infiltration of Valoran ships and stations, for years. She had studied everything known about Valoran biology and behavior. She had learned their language. She had practiced moving through simulated Valoran environments. She knew their ships better than most Valorans did. Her training instructor watched her move through the obstacle course, eliminating holographic Valoran targets with perfect accuracy. She is ready, he said to Admiral Baek Jisoo, who was observing from above. She will need to be, Baek Jisoo replied. The mission we have planned for her is almost certainly suicide. She knows. She volunteered anyway. That was the spirit that had kept humanity alive. The willingness to sacrifice everything for a chance at justice. Not victory. They were not sure victory was possible. But justice, payment, revenge. These things were worth dying for. Captain Yoon Hana was also there, though she no longer flew jets. The ejection from her burning plane had damaged her spine. She would never fly again. But she had found a new purpose. She was now the commander of the Drone Warfare Division, controlling swarms of small attack drones that humanity had built using Valoran designs. Our drones are faster and more maneuverable than theirs, she explained during a briefing. The Valorans rely too much on their technology. They have become lazy. They do not adapt. They do not innovate. They simply use what has always worked. That is their weakness. Park Min-ho listened to all the reports. The weapons were ready. The ships were ready. The soldiers were ready. But he knew that readiness was not enough. They would be fighting an empire that had ruled the galaxy for 10,000 years. An empire with thousands of ships and trillions of soldiers. 200 ships and a few thousand humans could not win a direct war. But they were not planning to fight a direct war. You cannot defeat them with strength, Park Min-ho said during the final planning session. But we do not need to defeat them. We only need to hurt them. We need to show them that humanity is not dead. We need to make them afraid. He pointed at a star map. A small dot was highlighted on the edge of Valoran space. Outpost 17, a supply station in neutral territory. 5,000 Valoran soldiers. Minimal defenses. They use it to refuel ships moving between their core worlds and their expansion zones. Admiral Baek Jisoo studied the map. If we take it, we will announce our existence to the entire galaxy. Yes, Park Min-ho said. That is exactly what we want. Let them know we are coming. Let them spend their resources searching for us. Let them fear every shadow and suspect every noise. Let them understand that the species they tried to exterminate is still alive and still angry. He looked around the room at the faces of his officers. Men and women who had lost everything. Men and women who had spent 10 years preparing for this moment. "We will not live to see the end of this war," he said quietly. "Most of us will die before the Valoran Empire falls, but our children will see it, and their children. We are planting seeds today that will grow into forests of vengeance." He stood up straight, his old body suddenly looking strong again. "And years ago, I made a promise. I told the Valorans that we were coming for them. Tomorrow, we keep that promise. Tomorrow, we remind the galaxy that humanity does not forgive. Humanity does not forget, and humanity does not surrender." The room was silent for a moment. Then Admiral Beek Jisoo spoke. "For Earth." The words spread through the room like fire. For Earth, for Seoul, for Mumbai, for every child who died in their sleep, for every family that was turned to ash, for every dream that was stolen, the Shadow Fleet prepared to launch. 10 years of silence was about to end, and the Valoran Empire was about to learn a terrible lesson about the species they had tried to destroy. Commander Veth Doran was bored. He had been stationed at Outpost 17 for 3 years now. 3 years of watching supply ships come and go. 3 years of filing reports that nobody read. 3 years of wasting his talents on a posting that any junior officer could handle. He was a warrior of the Valoran Empire. His ancestors had conquered star systems. His family name was spoken with respect in the halls of power on Valthros. And here he was, babysitting a refueling station on the edge of nowhere. He sat in his command chair, watching the endless darkness of space through the station's main viewport. Nothing ever happened here. Nothing ever would. "Commander," one of his officers said, "we are detecting unusual energy readings at the edge of our sensor range." Veth Doran did not even turn around. "Probably just a comet, or debris from that asteroid field." "The readings are moving, sir. Moving fast. And there are many of them."
Ow!
Mal Veth Doran turned. He looked at the sensor display. There were dots appearing from nowhere, materializing out of empty space. 1, 10, 50, 100, 200. "What is this?" he demanded. "Where did they come from?" "They did not use the standard jump points." "Unknown, sir. The ships they are not in our database. They do not match any known design." Veth Doran felt something he had not felt in a very long time. Fear. "Raise shields. Power up all weapons. Send a distress signal to the nearest fleet." The Shadow Fleet had arrived. Admiral Beek Jisoo stood on the bridge of her flagship, the Remembrance. Through the viewport, she could see Outpost 17 clearly. It was huge, shaped like a wheel spinning slowly in space. Lights glowed from thousands of windows. 5,000 Valorans lived there. 5,000 members of the species that had murdered her family. "All ships in position," her tactical officer reported. "Awaiting your order." Beek Jisoo took a deep breath. This was the moment they had worked toward for 10 years. The moment humanity would announce its survival to the galaxy. There was no going back after this. "Open a channel to the station," she said. The communication screen flickered to life. Commander Veth Doran appeared on it. He was tall and thin, with gray skin and large dark eyes. He looked confused and angry. "Unknown vessels, you have entered Valoran space. Identify yourselves immediately, or you will be destroyed." Beek Jisoo smiled. It was not a pleasant smile. "Commander, my name is Admiral Beek Jisoo of the Human Shadow Fleet. 10 years ago, your empire attacked our planet. You killed 1.2 billion of our people. You destroyed our cities. You murdered our children, and then you forgot about us." Veth Doran's face changed. The confusion disappeared. It was replaced by something that looked like shock. "Humans. That is impossible. Earth was cleansed. Your species is extinct." "We are not extinct. We are angry, and we are here to collect a debt." She cut the communication and turned to her tactical officer. "All ships attack." The battle began. Valoran defenses activated instantly. Shields powered up. Weapon platforms emerged from hidden compartments. Fighters launched from docking bays. Outpost 17 was not a military base, but it was still protected by technology that had dominated the galaxy. For thousands of years, it was not enough. The human ships moved differently than any enemy the Valorans had faced before. They were smaller and faster, designed for close combat. They did not maintain formation like Valoran ships did. They attacked from every direction at once. Weaving through defensive fire with impossible skill, Captain Yunhana controlled the drone swarms from the Remembrance. She could not fly anymore, but through the drones, she had 100 eyes and 100 weapons. Her drones swarmed over Valoran fighters like angry insects, overwhelming them with numbers and speed. "Focus fire on the shield generators," she commanded. "Take them down section by section." The Valoran shields flickered and died. One section at a time, the station's protection was stripped away. On the station itself, Corporal SEO Neon led her infiltration team through emergency airlocks. They moved silently through the corridors, avoiding Valoran patrols. They knew exactly where they were going. They had studied the station's blueprints for months. Their target was the command center. SEO Neon moved like a shadow. Her team followed close behind. They encountered a patrol of 6 Valoran soldiers in a corridor. The fight lasted for seconds. The Valorans never even got a shot off. She stepped over their bodies and kept moving. There was no hesitation in her heart, no doubt. These were the people who had killed her parents, her brother, everyone she had ever known. Every Valoran she killed was justice. They reached the command center doors. Sionai placed explosives on the locks. "On my mark," she said quietly. The doors blew open. Her team rushed inside. Commander Veth Doran was standing in the center of the room, surrounded by his officers. He was holding a weapon, but he did not fire. He was too surprised, too confused. Humans were supposed to be dead. Humans were supposed to be nothing. "Drop your weapons," Sioneon said in perfect Valoran language. Veth Doran stared at her. A small human female was giving him orders. Him, a commander of the Valoran Empire. It was absurd. It was impossible. He did not drop his weapon. He raised it. Sioneon shot him in the hand. He screamed and dropped the weapon. Her team moved quickly, securing the other officers. "Commander Veth Doran," Sioneon said calmly, "you are now a prisoner of the Human Alliance. You will be treated according to the laws of war, something your empire never did for us." Outside, the battle was ending. Valoran fighters drifted dead in space. The station's weapons were silent. Human ships surrounded it like wolves around wounded prey. Admiral Beek Jizu opened a broadcast channel, not just to the station, but to every Valoran communication network she could reach. The message would spread across the galaxy. This is Admiral Beek Jisu of the Human Shadow Fleet. Outpost 17 has fallen. Your commander is our prisoner. Your soldiers are dead or captured, and this is just the beginning. She paused, letting the words sink in. 10 years ago, you came to our world. You killed without warning. You destroyed without mercy. You thought you had erased us from existence. You were wrong. Her voice grew harder. Earth remembers. Earth survived, and Earth is coming for you. Every world you have conquered, every species you have enslaved, every crime you have committed, the bill is coming due. She thought of her parents, her sister, her friends, all gone, all ash. You cannot hide from us. You cannot run from us. We are humanity. We do not forgive. We do not forget. And now you will learn why you should have killed us all when you had the chance. She ended the broadcast in the command center. Commander Veth Doran sat on the floor, his wounded hand pressed against his chest. He looked up at Sioneon with something new in his eyes. Not anger. Not confusion. Fear. "What are you?" he whispered. Sioneon looked down at him. "We are humans. We are what you created when you tried to destroy us. And we are just getting started." Across the galaxy, the message spread. Valoran commanders heard it and could not believe it. The dead species was alive. The exterminated pests had weapons. The forgotten planet had a fleet. On Valthros, the Valoran throne world, High Sovereign Malith received the news. He had ruled the empire for 200 years. He had overseen the conquest of 1,000 worlds. He had never known fear. He felt it now. Just a little. Just a seed. Find them, he commanded. Find them and destroy them. All of them. This time, leave nothing behind. The hunt for humanity had begun, but the hunters did not know that they were also the hunted. The throne room of Valthros was the largest enclosed space in the galaxy. Its ceiling rose so high that clouds sometimes formed beneath it. Its walls were covered with the flags of 1,000 conquered worlds. For 10,000 years, emperors had ruled from this room. For 10,000 years. No enemy had ever threatened them here. High Sovereign Malith sat on his throne and listened to his advisors panic. The humans destroyed the garrison at Outpost 17 in less than 2 hours. Fleet Marshal Keth Viron reported. He was the most decorated military commander in the Empire. He had never lost a battle, but his voice was uncertain now. They used technology we have never seen before. They appeared from nowhere. Our defenses could not track them. They're primitives, Malith said. His voice was calm, but his hands gripped his throne tightly. They were throwing rocks at each other when we were building stargates. How did they develop this technology? We believe they reverse-engineered the drones we left behind to finish the cleansing. They learned from our own weapons. Malith's eyes narrowed. A mistake. A small mistake, leaving those drones behind. A decision made by some minor commander who thought the job was done. And now that small mistake was becoming a very big problem. How many ships do they have? Our intelligence suggests approximately 200, perhaps more. Malith almost laughed. We have 50,000 warships. Send a fleet and end this. We have sent fleets. High Sovereign. 3 strike forces over the past month. None of them have returned. The humans do not fight like any species we have encountered. They use guerrilla tactics. Hit and run attacks. They strike our supply lines and disappear before we can respond. Malith stood up from his throne. He was ancient, over 300 years old, but his body was still strong. His people lived long and aged slowly. He walked to the window and looked out at the endless city that covered his planet. 2,000 ships, 10 times what they have. We go to Earth and finish what we started. Fleet Marshal Keth Viron nodded. It will be done, High Sovereign. I will lead the armada myself. This was what the humans had been waiting for, in a hidden base deep in an asteroid field. General Park Minho received the intelligence report. Corporal Essio Neon had infiltrated Valoran society months ago. She was working as a servant in a minor noble's household, listening and watching and reporting everything she learned. They are sending 2,000 ships, Park Minho read from her latest message. Fleet Marshal Keth Viron is leading them personally. They will arrive at Earth in 18 days. Admiral Beek Jisoo stood beside him. Our fleet cannot survive against those numbers. Not even close. We are not going to fight them, Park Minho said. He was smiling. It was a cold, predatory smile. We are going to let them have Earth, sir. They are sending their best commander and their biggest fleet to destroy a dead planet. While they are there, looking for us in the ashes, we will be somewhere else. He pulled up a star map and pointed at several locations deep in Valoran territory. Here, here, and here, agricultural worlds. They produce 60% of the food for the entire empire. If those worlds fall, the Valorans will starve. Dr. Kim Woojin stepped forward. He had been working on a secret project for years, a biological weapon specifically designed to attack Valoran food crops without harming anything else. The agent is ready, he said. It will spread through their ecosystem within days. The crops will fail. They will not be able to grow food on those worlds for decades. Jisoo looked at the scientist with uncertainty. This will kill millions. Civilians, children, Yes, Dr. Kim Woojin said quietly. There was silence in the room. They all understood what they were planning. It was not a noble act. It was not heroic. It was revenge, pure and simple. The Valorans had killed their children. Now humanity would kill theirs. I do not ask anyone to feel good about this, Park Min-ho said. I do not feel good about it. But we did not start this war. We did not choose to become what we are becoming. The Valorans made us into this, and now they will face the consequences, gave the orders. The Shadow Fleet split into 3 groups. Each group had a target. Each group knew what had to be done. 18 days later, Fleet Marshal Keth Viron arrived at Earth with 2,000 warships. He expected to find human bases. He expected to find resistance. He expected a battle. He found nothing. The planet was exactly as they had. Left it 10 years ago, dead, poisoned, empty. The automated drones that had been left behind were still operating, still searching for humans that were no longer there. Where are they? Keth Viron demanded. They must be hiding somewhere. Search every asteroid. Scan every moon. His fleet spread out, searching. They found abandoned stations. Ghost ships floating empty in space. Equipment that had been left behind. Signs that humans had been there recently. But no humans. Then the reports started coming in. Fleet Marshal, we have lost contact with Valoran Prime 3, the agricultural world. What do you mean lost contact? All communications have stopped. We are receiving automated distress signals. More reports followed. Valoran Prime 7, Valoran Prime 12. 3 agricultural worlds, all attacked at the same time, while the main fleet was searching empty space around Earth. The humans had slipped past them and struck at the heart of the Empire. Keth Viron felt something cold in his chest. He had been tricked. The humans had wanted him to come here. They had wanted him to waste time searching a dead planet while they attacked defenseless targets. Return to Valoran space, he commanded. Maximum speed. But it was too late. On Valoran Prime 3, the biological agent had already been released. Within days, the crops began to die. The fields that had fed billions turned brown and rotted. Scientists tried to stop the spread, but they could not. The agent was designed perfectly. It attacked only Valoran food plants. Nothing else. Panic spread through the Empire. Food prices rose. Rationing began. Worlds that had been loyal for centuries began to question their rulers. How could the mighty Valoran Empire be threatened by a species they had supposedly destroyed? And the attacks continued. The Shadow Fleet never stayed in one place. They struck supply convoys. They destroyed communication relays. They freed slaves from mining worlds and gave them weapons to fight back. Everywhere the Valorans looked, they saw humans. And everywhere they sent their fleets, the humans were already gone. General Park Min-ho watched the reports from his command center. The Empire was hurting. Not dying, not yet, but hurting. Every world they attacked, every convoy they destroyed, every slave they freed was another crack in the foundation of Valoran power. This is not enough, he said to Admiral Baekjeju. We can hurt them for 100 years and they will still survive. We need to do something bigger. Something they cannot ignore. What do you suggest? Park Min-ho looked at the star map. His eyes found Valthros, the throne world, the heart of everything. We attack their capital. We kill their emperor. We show the galaxy that the Valoran Empire can bleed. Baekjeju stared at him. That is suicide. Valthros is the most defended world in the galaxy. Yes, Park Min-ho said. It is, but we have something they do not expect. We have people on the inside, and we have nothing left to lose. He sent a message to Corporal Essio Neon, still hidden on Valthros, still waiting. The message was simple. Prepare. We are coming. Across the galaxy, the Valoran Empire began to realize something terrible. The humans they had tried to exterminate were not just surviving, they were winning. And they were not going to stop until the empire that had destroyed their world was destroyed in return. The final battle was coming. 1 year had passed since the counteroffensive began. 1 year of blood and fire and endless war. The Valoran Empire was crumbling. It had started slowly. A rebellion here. A mutiny there. Species that had been enslaved for centuries saw their chance for freedom. They saw that the mighty empire could be hurt. They saw that a single planet of primitives had done what no one thought possible, and they rose up. The Valorans found themselves fighting on 100 fronts. Their supply lines were broken. Their food reserves were running low. Their soldiers were tired and afraid. For the first time in 10,000 years, the Empire was losing. General Park Min-ho stood on the bridge of the Remembrance, looking at the star map. He was 69 years old now. His body was weak. His doctor said he had months to live, maybe less. The stress and the grief and the endless war had taken everything from him. But he was not done yet. He had one more thing to do. She stood beside him, as she always did. 300 human ships. 500 ships from our allies, the former slave species. 800 ships against Valthros. The throne world was defended by over 1,000 warships and orbital defense platforms that could destroy entire fleets. It was the most fortified world in the galaxy. No enemy had ever attacked it until now. "What is the status of our ground teams?" Park Min-ho asked. Corporal Seo Nayeon has secured her position inside the Imperial Palace. She is ready to move when the attack begins. Park Min-ho nodded. Seo Nayeon had spent a year undercover on Valthros, a year of pretending to be a servant, a year of watching and waiting and preparing. Everything depended on her now. He opened a channel to the entire fleet. Human ships and allied ships. Warriors from a dozen species, all united by the same purpose. Revenge, freedom, justice. "This is General Park Min-ho," he said. 11 years ago, the Valoran Empire attacked my world without warning. They killed billions of innocent people. They thought they had destroyed us. They were wrong. His voice was calm but strong. Today, we end this war. Today, we attack the heart of the empire that has oppressed the galaxy for 10,000 years. Many of us will die. Perhaps all of us. But our sacrifice will not be meaningless. Because of what we do today, our children will live in a galaxy free from Valoran tyranny. He paused and looked out at the stars. For Earth, for every world they burned. For every species they enslaved. Today, we take our revenge. The fleet jumped to Val Taros. The battle began immediately. Valoran defense platforms opened fire. Missiles filled the sky. Ships exploded on both sides. The space around Valthros became a storm of destruction. Admiral Beek Jisoo commanded the battle from the Remembrance. She directed ships with calm precision. She had trained for this moment for years. Every simulation, every exercise, every sleepless night, all for this. Focus fire on the orbital platforms, she ordered. Clear a path to the planet's surface. The Allied fleet pushed forward. They took terrible losses. Ship after ship was destroyed, but they kept coming. They had nothing to go back to. They had everything to fight for. Captain Yoon Hannah controlled her drone swarms with desperate focus. Her drones swarmed over Valoran fighters, buying time for the larger ships. She thought of Seoul. She thought of the day the sky burned. Every drone she sent into battle carried her rage with it. On the surface of Valthros, Corporal Seo Nayeon moved through the chaos. The attack had thrown the city into panic. Civilians ran through the streets. Soldiers rushed to defensive positions. No one noticed one small human female walking calmly toward the Imperial Palace. She had studied the palace for a year. She knew every corridor, every guard post, every weakness. She moved like smoke, slipping past patrols that were too distracted by the battle above to notice her. She reached the throne room doors. 2 guards stood there. They saw her and raised their weapons. They never had a chance to fire. She killed them in silence and pushed open the doors. High Sovereign Maleth was inside. He was standing at the great window, watching his world burn. Ships fell from the sky like dying stars. The city below was on fire. Everything he had built, everything his ancestors had built, it was all crumbling. He turned when he heard Seo Nayan enter. He looked at her with ancient eyes that had seen empires rise and fall. "A human," he said. "In my throne room? I suppose this was inevitable," Seo Nayan said. "It was you came to kill me." "No, I came to deliver you to someone who wants to meet you." She raised her communicator. "The throne room is secure. He is here." Minutes later, a shuttle landed on the palace roof. General Park Min-ho walked out, supported by 2 soldiers. His body was weak, but his eyes were burning. Behind him came Admiral Baek Ji-soo and a squad of human marines. They walked through the burning palace, past bodies of fallen Valoran guards, past windows that showed the destruction outside, past statues of emperors who had ruled when humanity was still living in caves. They entered the throne room park. Min-ho looked at High Sovereign Malith, the ruler of the galaxy, the one who had ordered the destruction of Earth, the one who had killed his wife, his daughter, his entire world. They stood facing each other, 2 old men at the end of their lives. One who had destroyed, one who had survived. "What are you?" Maleth asked. His voice was quiet. There was no fear in it anymore, just curiosity. "We have conquered 1,000 species. None of them fought like you. None of them survived what you survived. What makes humans different?" Park Min-ho reached into his pocket. He pulled out a small photograph. It was old and worn. The edges were frayed from years of handling. It showed a woman and a young girl, his wife and daughter. Taken on a sunny day in a park in Seoul, years before the invasion, he showed it to Melith. "This is what you took from me," he said. "This is what you took from every human who survived your attack. Our families, our homes, our futures. You thought we would simply accept it. You thought we would quietly die. You did not understand what we are." He put the photograph back in his pocket, close to his heart. "We are humans. We love deeply. And when that love is taken from us, we become something else. Something terrible. We become vengeance itself. We will burn the galaxy to ashes to punish those who hurt us. We will sacrifice everything. Give up everything. Become monsters, if we must. That is what you created when you attacked our world. You should have killed us all when you had the chance." Malith was silent for a long moment. Then he spoke. "So what happens now? You execute me? Destroy my world as I destroyed yours?" Park Min-ho shook his head. "No, we are not you. We will not exterminate your species. But your empire is over. Your conquered worlds will be free. Your slaves will be released. And you will spend the rest of your life knowing that a species you considered primitive brought you to your knees." He turned to Admiral Baek Ji-soo, broadcast on all frequencies. "The war is over. The Valoran Empire has surrendered." The message spread across the galaxy. On 100 worlds, celebrations began. Species that had been enslaved for centuries screamed with joy. The empire that had oppressed them for 10,000 years had fallen. And it had fallen to humans. General Park Min-ho stood at the window and watched the fires below slowly fade. The battle was over. The war was won. 11 years of pain and sacrifice had led to this moment. He felt his wife beside him. Not really there, of course. But he felt her anyway. Her warmth. Her love. Her pride in what he had accomplished. "I did it," he whispered. "For you? For our daughter. For everyone they took from us." Pulled out the photograph one more time and pressed it against his heart. Somewhere far away, Earth was still dead, still wounded, but it was beginning to heal. Scientists were already working on ways to clean the atmosphere, to restore the soil, to bring life back to the blue planet. It would take generations. But humanity was patient. They had learned patience through 11 years of war. Admiral Baek Ji-soo came to stand beside him. "Sir, what do we do now?" Park Min-ho smiled. It was a real smile, the first one in years. "Now we go home. We rebuild our world. We remember what we lost, and we make sure this never happens again." He looked out at the stars one last time. "Let this be remembered across the galaxy. Let every species know what happened here. If you strike humanity, we will strike back. If you hurt us, we will never stop hunting you. We do not surrender. We do not forget. We are human. And now the universe knows what that means. The war was over, but humanity's story was just beginning.